So basically it's a naming convention. HANA DB editions is a naming convention of the HANA database product. Like we have seen the licensing naming convention like HANA platform, which is licensing for HANA database platform only, which is used for SAP database as a SAP standalone engine on SAP as well as non-SAP applications. And enterprise for already existing SAP customer who wants to use HANA database with BobJ, and extended for a new customer or for a customer. HANA extended license is for a new customer, extended or S4 is for a new customer or a customer who wants to migrate their entire landscape to HANA. So now we are seeing like on the different naming convention or a DB editions where we see it's on HANA on cloud, HANA on premise, HANA appliance. So we'll see what are all these naming conventions are all about. So it's basically SAP. So naming SAP naming update SAP HANA category SAP in memory computing. It's called as typically we call it as in memory computing engine. In the tools it still treats it as in memory computing engine or IMCE. Appliance SAP HANA appliance software, a combination of your hardware and your database software. A software when we call the DB software alone, SAP HANA appliance software, a software which can be run on HANA hardware. This is one way where they call it. It's no more used. And SAP HANA database, calling the database alone. Like here, calling it as a software used on HANA hardware, and here calling it as a SAP HANA DB. We say it as initially before getting into HANA database. We only see like people use calling it as SAP HANA, which this is not working on HANA and all. Like after getting awareness on SAP HANA and hardware platform, we call it as a SAP HANA hardware, SAP HANA appliance software, or SAP HANA DB. Which DB are using? We are using HANA DB. So prior to this, so people had issues like Vandana, you joined.
Yeah, laptop got started.
Great. So that thing power test worked.
Yeah.
Okay. It happens once in a while. Like you just need to uncord your power cable, remove the battery, and just press and hold the power button for 30 seconds or 60 seconds. That will drain out the unwanted static in it, static power in it. So once you start it back,
Hmm.
putting the battery and power cord, it will start. This happens quite often with
Okay.
laptops. Good.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. That was my domain. Like when I was a systems engineer initially, when I was working some 12 years back.
Hmm.
Basic still works. Okay, so we were basically discussing about the SAP HANA DB editions. So HANA DB editions. So
Hmm.
it's all about like the way we call the database with the different names. So SAP HANA appliance
Hmm.
software, the database which is used on, or a software which is used on SAP HANA hardware, SAP HANA database. And if the same is being used on a cloud environment, like we have Amazon cloud, like we call it as typically AWS, Amazon Web Services, where this hardware is being very expensive and it needs a 100 Gbps network switches to be configured. See, we have seen many things like hardware is improved, and to install SAP HANA, you also need to have a good bandwidth of network speed. For that, you need to improve your switch and everything. So people were quite confused and worried, like how do we upgrade your entire hardware? So before they go for it, they wanted to test it. So that's how actually Amazon Web Services came into picture, where they were offering this clouds HANA entire pre-installed HANA, like the HANA will be installed, software will be installed, everything will be installed pre-installed in it, and the customer can just do testing in minimum customizing for 1 2 months, and they can test it. They can get the feel of how the HANA feels, just like a test drive before buying a vehicle, before buying HANA. So that's how actually the cloud platform got introduced, and that's how like the cloud came into picture. Like people who doesn't want to have this maintenance headache at their end, so they were using it there in the systems. Okay. So in this application powered by HANA, they are application product typically. This is nothing but your ERP or BW or BobJ. Like ERP powered by HANA. If you're installing your ERP application on top of HANA, it was called as ERP powered by HANA or BW powered by HANA. Now we have the same thing as business suite. The set of all business suite, like business suite applications, ERP, SRM, CRM. So any business suite application, now we are calling it as SAP application ERP powered by HANA. One second.
And what is AC software? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, Vandana, I think so he's on call, so that's why he told he'll be on mute.
अच्छा 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 in between अच्छा okay.
Hello. Yeah.
Hello?
Hello. Yeah. Yeah, Vandana.
Yeah, I just wanted, I think I missed out the appliance as SAP HANA appliance software.
Oh, is it? From where? On your laptop?
No, no, in your screen, this slide only, first tab is appliance, SAP HANA appliance
Appliance.
software.
Appliance
Yeah,
software. Okay.
yeah.
Okay, you got a doubt on that. Sorry, I didn't get it. I just finished the. I was on mute. I didn't get to hear that completely. Fine. See, it's only like you're calling
Hmm.
it like in a typical way. See, our appliance, like, we call it as SAP HANA appliance. Appliance is a combination of hardware and your database software. That is actually the standard notation. So, apart from it,
Hmm.
people also call it, initially started calling it as SAP HANA appliance software, calling the HANA DB as a SAP
Hmm.
HANA appliance software. Appliance initially or typically resembling the hardware, but it should be a combination of
Hmm.
hardware as well as database. So here we are seeing like naming update, like how people call it with a different names. SAP HANA appliance software is nothing but there is only one appliance of SAP HANA, that is the appliance where the HANA DB is supposed to run or where HANA DB can run. So appliance software is nothing but SAP HANA database, and also people calling it differently as HDB or SAP HANA database or SAP HANA application cloud, where your SAP HANA hardware and your SAP HANA database software will be in cloud environment. Like you will not be seeing that server. You will only have like your IP address and your server name details. So it will be hosted in some data center with Amazon Web Services. You'll have your credentials, login credentials. You will be installing it, or you will purchase a product where the HANA database be based on your requirements. How many RAM, how much amount of RAM you want, 250 GB RAM or 100 GB, 300 or 400, 500 GB RAM. How much RAM you need, how many CPU cores you need. So based on this requirement, the cloud services teams like Amazon, and we have many other players, VMware. So they will install it and they will give it to you, and they typically charge on an hourly basis, this much amount for this much services and all. So that's called HANA and cloud. So if you're putting your hardware in in your data center, that's something like you're having a physical box in your local premises. And now we also have a same cloud concept, like if you're buying HP HANA hardware, HP hardware or IBM hardware, they're giving it as on-premise edition. This is nothing but along with the hardware, the HDB gets installed by the time it can say. So, for example, we have our S4 HANA project, which came with a database software, which they have went for a on-premise edition by HP people, because they call it as on-premise edition HANA database software. So SUSE Linux was installed with SP11 and SP2, and it came with SP8. But we were kicking the installation in December, and we started it on January. By then we had SP11. So we were like 2, 3 versions behind. So we have to update it from 8 to 9. It got updated well, and from 9 to 10 it got updated well. But when we are updating from 10 to 11, it got issues. So when we raised it back a message to SAP, so they were having some issues like with the 10 and 11. So they were asking to directly go with 11. So when SAP wants to do this, the HP guys, they were not in a position to go with the 11. They were saying like boss, this 11 latest one is still not tested in our HP HANA hardware, so it has to get certified by our competency team or like R&D team. Only then we'll be able to release it. So basically, it is like when you're taking a on-premise edition of HANA database, so a HP team or the hardware vendor will take up the responsibility of upgrading it for 3 years or 5 years contract they have with the customer. It's only maintenance. So then when they were not capable enough of doing it, I said like, okay, if you don't know, like that's okay, fine. You be with us, and if we do any update in those cases without their intervention, so that will void the warranty. So I need to have those guys in picture. So they were struggling there to fix it. So I've wiped off complete 10 version and I have straight away installed 11. So that's how we went with S4 HANA 1503 edition. I'll tell you that. I'll show you in after stopping this recording. Once we hit the installation, I'll show you that. You'll get better picture on that. So like this, we have many naming conventions. Apart from these, like we have only OPM. OPM is nothing but the vendor will give the HANA database pre-installed, and they will take care of the responsibility of updating HANA hardware. And only the HANA database, not application. If you're running ERP or BW, that again has to be updated by the customer. This is nothing but just like hype, fooling the customers in the name of HANA. I don't think so that is any good to the customer. So I asked them, why did you go for OPM? Sir, we have no clue, sir, what is HANA, OPM and all. So we don't have people with Linux experience, or we don't know people with HANA DB experience. ERP, this SQL database and all, we know, sir, how to take backups and all. We don't know how to. The typical Indian, South Indian customer we have. So okay, that's fine. Like HP people made money out of it. So they are doing nothing on it, like as part of implementation, what all things are there. So they say like customers just like proudly, okay man, we have HANA on-premise edition, and we think that's like that is something different, something with nothing. Whatever naming convention they have, it's all the same work. It's all the same work that you do while installing or like while configuring the system and all. Okay, so SAP HANA is a flexible data source agnostic appliance that enables customers to analyze large volumes of SAP ERP data in real time and avoiding the need to materialize transformations. Like ERP data in real time, materialize the large volumes of ERP data in real time, like getting the reports, extracting the reports without waiting for the reports to get transformed from ERP system to BW and from BW system to customer or BW to BobJ to get the reports. Like it can be extracted directly from the with the help of the HANA DB when we are replicating the data onto HANA with the help of SLT connections. So, so we typically see how this gets replicated. What are the advantages of SLT EXE servers? So you can directly link your ERP system with HANA database where to replicate the data, and those systems are called SLT systems, SAP landscape transformation connection, and we have direct extractor connection DXE, and we have ETL as well, extraction transformation layer. These three connections were used initially, not now. Initially, when people doesn't want to go with the entire landscape or entire landscape onto HANA, but they still want to test the speed of HANA servers or how HANA works. So without disturbing their existing landscape, ERP or BW systems, we had this HANA Live or HANA in HANA Live. Now it is called as HANA Live. So where it is called a sidecar method and integration method. Integration method is this one. You are installing your application directly on HANA, and sidecar method or side by side method is something. where you will not disturb your existing setup. You will install HANA as a parallel system, and you will copy all the reports. Like, what all reports that you're replicating on BW and you're using it through Bobja system. The same amount of reports or the additional reports which business says, like, boss, I have all this data, and out of this I have these 10 reports or these 10 tables data. I want to be run in a real-time method. I want this data in real time. One, like, what is in, what is out. Like, simply ledger accounts from finance team for materials. Like, finance ledger is something like what is your debit, what is your credit, outstanding figure on a daily basis, on an hourly basis. Okay, I want this from finance team. This report, and finance guys will sit on it and will see like what all tables are linked and how the data can be pulled out with the help of the BobJ guys or BW guys. And similarly with materials team in a ERP material management. What is a material in the stock? What is a material that has been sold out? Like, what is the material in stock? What is the material that we don't have or we may have to procure? And similarly assets. Similarly sales and distribution. What is the stock? What is the amount of sales that we made? What is the profit? So all these kind of reports, the business will give the requirement, and they want, I need these reports in real time, so that depending on this data, I can make some business critical decisions. I can purchase the materials in beforehand. I can, predict the sales forecast. Okay, okay, I'm running out of stock. Okay, I can increase or decrease the sales volumes. If there is too much stock left out in the sales team, so I can give some discount offer. If I'm doing good business, good sales, what I can do, I don't have to put any discounts. If I give discount or don't give discount also, I have only left out with, I'm like, self-sufficient. I'm manufacturing well, I'm selling well. So I don't have to go with any discounts. Like these kind of decisions will be made based on these reports. So basically, HANA was primarily targeted for analytics and leadership teams. So leadership teams, like, when they were taking a business critical decisions like this, they don't worry or they don't have to think about investing any amount of money on HANA. So that's how this SLT concept came into. But the team has some issues, some questions where how, if we want to go with HANA speed and everything is fine, but we do not want to go, or we do not want to migrate our ERP onto HANA or BW directly onto HANA. So that's when this SLT concept came into picture, replications. So you'll have your systems intact. Using any of these three methods, you will copy the data. You'll copy the data from existing systems onto HANA hardware, and from that HANA system, your Bobja will be extracting the reports. So in case you're running a job, you're sending the data at night 12, and for every 1 hour you schedule a job replication. And at 8 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, your replication finished from ERP to Bobja or onto HANA hardware, and at 7:30 you are pulling the report. What it does, it will pull the last, it will see that last report is read at 7 o'clock from the ERP system, and it will, with these resources on this HANA system, it will directly go back to ERP system, and it will pull even this 30 minutes data as well within fraction of seconds. With the hardware capabilities what HANA has, it will pull this data within fraction of seconds, and it will give you data in real time. Clear till here? Any doubts?
No, I just want to know why this SLT you have mentioned, why this SLT came into the picture. Okay.
Right. See, SLD came into picture, like, where we have this on-site, data replication in real time and everything, but people doesn't want to take risk of completely migrating onto HANA initially. See, you never know, HANA is a new platform, HANA is a new database, so the CIOs or the IT heads will not afford to go for it, any new product without getting it properly tested. So they were like, this is a HANA is a new product. Yes, you're saying speed and all, that is all fine. But how you will migrate your entire ERP box onto HANA? Migrating ERP onto HANA or BW entire landscape onto HANA, it will take months together. First you have to migrate your sandbox system. It may take 10-15 days, later your quality, then your production. But it has to be tested thoroughly. And it needs more money for migrating all your ERP products, BW products, ERP and BW onto HANA directly. So that is a very expensive operation, and you never know how ERP, if you migrate complete ERP onto HANA, because HANA was a initial product. This is when, like, some 5 years back, 5 years back, when SAP HANA came into picture newly. So SAP has come up with the solutions. Okay, so whatever it is, you don't have to worry. So I'll pull it with the sidecar method. You have your ERP system parallel as it is, and you can have your, like this, your existing landscape. You'll have your existing landscape where you have your ERP system and BW system, and here you'll have your HANA box. So they are linking with this with any of these methods, SLT or ETL or DX. These are all replication technologies. They can use any of this depending on the usage. Here you'll have your HANA.
Then which is the SAP standard one?
SAP standard one is obviously ERP and BW. This is your
No,
standard.
no, no. That SLT, you have mentioned SLT, ETL, DXC. So which is
Yeah,
the standard one we have
standard
to
one
use?
is SLT.
SLT.
Yeah, SLT is widely used. These
Okay.
two are actually
And
fairly
DXC and ETL is whose product? It is SAP product or
even
non-SAP product?
SAP product only. That's a standard functionality that is used for replication of data. So it's used not only with SAP
Okay.
but also for non-SAP analytic products as well. But that didn't work due to some
Hmm.
disadvantages in it. So we'll see when we
Hmm.
go to these topics. But that is the reason you might be already seeing this name as SLT everywhere. Like as we have Sandeep from US, like they have this landscape running on SLT currently, right? Right, Sandeep, is it on SLT or DXC?
Hmm.
Your current landscape,
It's SLT only.
SLT only, yeah. So this is how it will be. Your landscape will be linked for BOD, BODS, business object.
This is Balaji.
Yeah, Balaji, welcome.
We have some tables in ERP.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, in BA, we have one more add-on component called business content.
Right.
So if we install the business content,
Mm-hmm.
it will give the subsequent fields which is in ERP, the same and then the respective cube and info object, everything it will give automatically.
Right.
So if I migrate my ERP to a HANA database
Mm-hmm.
and I want HANA ERP in the same box, so
Mm-hmm.
this business content all will be available or how it is?
Okay. Can you please come again? Like, yes, I understood one thing. Like, in BW you have BI content
Hmm. So
component.
that is the set of fields and the cube, info object, ODS, everything will be there. So
Right.
we have to just map this course on the target, and
Mm-hmm.
if you schedule a job, it will pull the record from ERP and it will upload into the respective cubes in the BI system.
Exactly.
Okay. So like that, if I want, I don't want a separate BI box or separate HANA box, and I don't want to do SLT every day.
You have some internet problem. So at a big picture level, so when you're putting a request, any doubt so far? The hardware innovations, you clear?
I think that hardware, that previous slide,
Mm-hmm.
we need a audio clip for that
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it is
I've
very
recorded
difficult
it.
to
Yeah.
remember all those things. Or
Mm-hmm.
at least some write up on this slide.
It is there. I'll give you a HA100 material. Material, it's detailed, it's there. You have all these topics in it. This one, HA100,
Hmm.
200. I'll be giving it.
With the
Hello.
explanation,
Yeah,
with the explanation.
yeah, yeah, with the explanation. You'll have everything. You'll have even even more detailed explanation in it. See here.
Yeah, my doubt is like, see, now we are came to the micro level or technology, laptop, and then yeah.
Hmm. You
So
have this
with this
architecture
huge
everything.
RAM and all, again we are going back to mainframe.
No, 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 no. Mainframe is completely different subject. Don't confuse yourself. So that concept is completely different,
Hmm.
and this is only about HANA hardware, the new technology of the HANA hardware. So there's no way
Yeah, so
comparison with
how the server be the how they are compacting me like when we are saying RAM and also how they are building the slots for the RAM in the hardware.
See, frankly speaking, even I have no clue on that. So here our agenda is to understand how the RAM has been improved and what are the technology innovations that came into picture and how we can make use of how we are making use of that hardware innovations. So there is a separate hardware team which HANA hardware team which was working on this concepts. So they have built a new high-end hardware. So our work is to test the test drive and use the HANA database as a appliance with a combination with the hardware. So before driving it, we are knowing the speeds, like what is the maximum speed it can go, what is the engine capacity, etc., etc. So we really don't know. We are kind of a racer now. We are sitting on a supersonic car, so we are going to test it. So okay, so the racer, I'm a racer typically, so I know how to ride it, I know how to drive it, but I don't know how the engine is manufactured. So we have to see like what are the capabilities, what are the specs of the car. So do I have airbags? Do I have good brakes? So these are the concepts that we are discussing, like the specifications, what are the improvements in comparison to SAP. So don't worry about it. You don't have to remember these as well, but you need to understand, like simply like if somebody asks what is how is HANA different, so you'll say like it comes with more memory. There's a lot of improvements at the hardware level, and nobody is going to ask you how the RAM is sitting there or how the chip is sitting there. So don't worry about it. Sorry if I have confused you. Huh? You got it right now? Is it clear? See, you have all these comparisons, everything in H100 introduction part,
Okay.
everything in detail with
Okay.
411 pages with this.
When you will give this? When you will give this?
Yeah, once the installation, the initial payment is done, I'll give you the 100. Good question. And after, like, after completion of installation, we'll go through these topics, like, till again after
Okay.
backup and recovery, you have to make the full payments. Like maybe
Yeah.
after 3 or 4 classes, before I start this administration configuration, I'll request for
Okay.
a final payment. So once the final payment is done, I'll give you the HA 200 as well. So the entire documentation.
Okay.
Okay. So that's
Okay.
how it is. So daily challenges, complex system landscapes, you'll get immediate getting the immediate results, massive growth of data volume, skilled workflows, high flexibility. So all this H100 and 200 were like put in here. So these slides, I've not designed these slides. And these are slides of SAP. I won't say these slides are mine. These are all slides of SAP, all copied from HA100 to 100, and I put it into one document so that you can quickly browse and go through the explanation. And like once you look at these pictures, you get to know it. So the current scenarios, what we have is like in a typical understanding. So you're reading a 200 GB disk space of data, and when you're giving a request from CPU like this, and it is coming like this. So the request comes from CPU. The CPU will be hardly 2 gigahertz, 3 gigahertz, and your memory will be some 10 GB. And when it goes to disk, it has to be in read from CPU cache, memory cache. In CPU cache and memory cache, it can hold only up to 2 times of the RAM, or 3 times of in the maximum 3 times of the RAM. So that we call as paging. So so forget about the paging. Just think that it is holding 1 time of the RAM. Like you have 10 GB RAM, it is holding 10 GB. So to read this entire disk space or entire database of 200 GB, it will take more time, or it will give performance related issues, or it should have. Or when you complain to SAP or DB level tuning, they say like, okay, you are running short of RAM, increase the RAM. To what extent you will be increasing it? You'll have some limitations at the hardware level again. So unless and until even if you increase the RAM, it reads it, but it gives it back in a proper with a proper data only when you have adequate amount of RAM. What if you don't have the scalability, or like you're running short of hardware specs where you can increase beyond that certain limit. So that's when the like in-memory database concept came into picture. You will have the RAM with the equal to that of your database size. So it can accommodate. So the data will be still sitting in the disk level only, but only for performance purpose, only for the calculation purpose. The cache, the entire data, all the frequently accessed applications will be sitting in memory. So for example, This is one simple example. You'll have some command like prefetch in your system. If you run this command, it will have all the frequently accessed applications here sitting here. So these all applications are my frequently accessed applications, and when I click on them, it will come very easily. And these are all my frequently accessed Excel sheets, right? Similarly, these are all my frequently accessed Word documents. So when I say click on this one, any of these document, it will quickly open it because it doesn't take time because it is sitting in cache. So similar concept was used for HANA. So if you have a RAM equal to that of a database, you can make your entire database, even if you're reading the entire database application once, your entire database sits in cache, and that will improve the speed. And once when the data comes into picture, it will open a log, and it will open a log at the disk level, and it will do the entire activity back in cache. And once it gets completed again, it will comes and says at the log, okay, saves at the data level, and it will finish the log. Okay, I have done this task in cache and completed it, and saving all this amount into so and so table. You may close the log. Now the data saved, and the log also gets saved. We'll touch base this concept in detail in the next level. So this is about the cache functionality. That is how the in-memory computing engine concept come into picture. So avoid bottlenecks. With this, we can avoid bottlenecks when you have enough memory in the system, that too equal to that of your database size. Obviously, the entire you will never have any bottlenecks, memory bottlenecks, like where the CPU is at very low level. The current situation, what's happening is the CPU already have only 2 gigahertz, 4 gigahertz, maximum of 6 gigahertz CPUs, and you have only 10 GB RAM, and your database is some 500 GB, 200 GB, 300 GB. So there is a large gap about the CPU speed and the CPU capability, and like you are like this is something like trying to dig a pit hole with a needle, kind of. So that was a variation, like what that was a large variation difference we have in our current landscapes. So that was identified, and to put a breakthrough for this, they thought like why can't we have this entire cache? So okay, this was observed simply with the earlier concept, like when SAP was supporting customers, and okay, increasing the RAM from 10 GB to 20 GB, it has improved the performance, but it has not solved the issue, but it has definitely improves the performance of the system. So that's when the team thought, okay, increasing the RAM for a 200 GB disk space from 10 GB RAM to 20 GB, it has made some difference. So what will be the difference? What kind of speed can we expect if we have the entire database, if we have the equal amount of RAM, and if we provide the RAM equal to that of your database size, and ensure that it has the enough RAM to hold the entire database in cache, in a memory cache and CPU cache with good number of CPUs. So that's how, like, in-memory computing engine database and its relevant hardware, everything came into picture. So speed, avoid bottlenecks, latency. So the CPU clock speed is increased and memory bandwidth is increased. So obviously the speed is also increased. There is no variation between the CPU bottleneck or memory bottleneck or the disk size of the database. So that's how the performance issues have been figured and fixed drastically. That's how you see a lot of performance improvement in the HANA database. So this is something like we'll get to understand more, like once you do the reading, and once you try to get understand the concepts again and again. It will take some time. But if you're going for interviews and all, nobody is going to ask you about this again. But you should know, like what is in memory, yes, how it happens. So we'll see in the backup and recovery here. We'll see, you'll get to know, like how the backup gets recovered, how the data gets saved, what are the data save points, and the majorly answer asked the question, like what happens if power goes off. Will the data, will they be there, or it will be gone, and all. So you'll get those things answered there. And for that, we need to know the installation, then the backup concept. It has a dependency, like one topic is dependent on other. Understand the column and data storage. Sandy, you're back. Okay. There were some 100 plus tables which were dropped, and which was again merged into more tables. Like we have set of 100
No.
tables. like 100 set of tables which were dropped and which is moved into this. And similarly, the best feature is it doesn't have any indexes. So indexing concept is not there. So indexing, when you're saying like there is no indexing, the compression rate, that's the main reason, like the compression rate is increased so much. And if you have indexing concept in the in-house database, so when you're exporting it and importing it, when there is no indexing, that major data that you'll be saving at that front. And secondly, when you are extracting again, as per your question, you don't have to uncompress it because there is no concept of indexing, or there is no space which is going waste in the table levels or between the systems. It is very well organized, and there is a very well organized mechanism to put the structured, unstructured data, metadata into in place with the HANA DB server processes. So you don't have to
Okay.
uncompress it. So it is like it's a kind of, it is an in-house feature, or it is in a different blood. It's a different breed of database. So
So
the
it
worst,
doesn't have any
yeah,
indexing.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
it doesn't have any indexing. So if you see, or if you have seen our systems with Oracle databases, just for example, so just they do basically the DBS, Oracle DBS do indexing on every 6 months. And if you notice, the performance increases very highly, the DB response time comes very low after the indexing, and after 2 or 3
Yeah.
months,
Normally
yeah, after two or three months
after
again it
any
goes up.
change,
And the DB response
yeah,
time,
they'll drop the index and they'll
yeah,
again recreate the index.
recreate the indexes.
Okay.
It is like
And also the partitioning concept is also there, right? Normally with huge sets of data,
hmm,
year-wise partitioning or like some set of, they'll either segregate, right, the data
yeah,
according to functionality or
segregate the data
year-wise.
and all.
So here also that partitioning is there, that concept is also not there.
The partitioning concept is there, but no
Okay.
no duplicate segregations, only aggregating the data in a organized way. When it is going and when it is saving the data, it doesn't go and save the data wherever there is a space. Like there is an organized way of uh, that's where the structured unstructured data concept comes into picture, whether you're importing it from a row
Okay.
store, column store. So it knows, it will identify, the preprocessor will identify it's coming in a row store or column store, then it gives to index server. From there it will go and pick it and place it in the place where it is supposed to sit. So that the architecture level, it is very well defined, the core
Okay.
database level. So we'll see that.
Mm.
We'll be seeing only the processes and all, but still we can discuss that. We'll see that. So these are the hardware partners and planned HANA DB platform, the two future version. Now we are on 1.0 SP11. I'll stop it. It's 85. I'll stop it in another 2 minutes. How many slides we have? So we are done with HANA DB additions and modules today. We have not touched the architecture yet. Architecture, we are going to come. We're going to go there. We are there. A few more slides. Architecture methodology. We have high availability here. Yeah, this is the architecture. So I couldn't find a better slide which defines the architecture, so I made it in Excel sheet like this. So we'll go through this. So these are all the server processes and all. I'll be giving you this document to read. The modules is here. High availability is also here. Modules, high availability, yes.
Sudhakar, how many
So tomorrow we'll
students are
have this.
there today with a basis background? With the basis background,
See, both of them are with the basis background, and you as well.
who
All of you have basis background.
and who else?
Even
Acha,
I
all of them have the basis
basis
background.
background, yes.
No. Sudhakar, you might have confused. I don't have any basis background.
You're
I'm
from
purely,
Bob's administration, right? So you know the tables and
yeah,
all.
I'm
Yeah,
from
because like Bob object and all that, because he was asking so many things about the queries and rows and columns, and also maybe is it from the Bob object and all. So
no,
just for
not
the
Bob J.
curiosity, I just wanted to know that.
Vandana, I'm from like data
Then
warehouse.
above,
సరిగ్గా రావట్లేదు. నేను యూట్యూబ్ లో అప్లోడ్ చేస్తాను. దట్ షుడ్ బి ఓకే
Okay.
కదా? అది లింక్ ఉంటుంది. నాకు కూడా పద్దాక ఇంకా సెషన్ 1, 2 అన్నది యూట్యూబ్లో వేసేస్తాను. శ్రీకాంత్ వచ్చామ్మా? వినిపిస్తుందా శ్రీకాంత్? శ్రీకాంత్, కెన్ యూ హియర్ మీ? వినిపించలేదేమో.
హలో
హలో, శ్రీకాంత్ వినిపిస్తుందా? మా బ్రదర్ అయితేను రమేష్ గారు
ఓకే
వినిపిస్తుందా?
వినిపిస్తుంది.